In the glamorous world of the 90s, where fame was the new religion and Diddy ruled the music kingdom, one young prodigy was standing right beside him, Usher Raymond. A teenage superstar in the making, wide-eyed, talented, and ready to conquer the world, but behind the champagne, the lights, and the million-dollar studios, something else was happening. Something Usher never talked about. Until now. For years, fans have whispered about the wild nights, secret parties, and the mysterious bond between Diddy and his young protege. Everyone wanted to know, what really went down behind closed doors? What did Usher see, and why did he stay silent for so long? Now, decades later, Usher has finally decided to speak. And what he's revealing is sending shockwaves through Hollywood and the music industry. Was it mentorship or manipulation? Guidance or control? And why is everyone suddenly nervous about what Usher might say next? This isn't just another celebrity story. This is about power, silence, and the price of fame. Because sometimes the truth doesn't fade with time. It just waits for the right voice to finally speak it. Stay tuned. Because Usher's truth about Diddy has only just begun. The year was 1993. Hip-hop was exploding, R&B was evolving, and a young Sean Puffy Combs was at the center of it all, shaping the culture, defining an era, and building Bad Boy Records into an empire. But while the world saw a confident mogul with luxury cars and a sharp suit, there was another story brewing behind the curtains, one that involved a teenage Usher Raymond, who had just moved from Atlanta to New York City, ready to chase his dream. Usher was only 13 years old when he first met Diddy. Fresh-faced, talented, and already singing circles around grown men, he was being groomed to be the next big thing. But when his mother, Janetta Patton, agreed to send him to New York under Diddy's guidance, she had no idea what kind of environment her son was stepping into. In later interviews, Usher would recall how living with Diddy at such a young age was like a different world. He wasn't exaggerating. Diddy, even back then, was known for his legendary parties. Endless nights filled with celebrities, loud music, and wild scenes that no teenager should have been exposed to. Imagine being 13 and waking up in a mansion filled with industry stars, models, and chaos. That was Usher's reality. He once laughed it off, saying he learned a lot about life from those experiences. But when you really listen to his tone, there's a sense of discomfort. Like there's a lot more to the story that he never told. Back in those days, Diddy saw himself as more than a label head. He called himself a mentor, someone who could shape young talent into superstardom. But many people around him noticed that the line between mentorship and manipulation often blurred. The control he had over his artists, from how they dressed to where they lived, was total. And for Usher, that control started young. He was in Diddy's world, following his rules, and watching everything, the luxury, the madness, and the dark side of success. Years later, Usher would describe how Diddy would disappear for nights, only to come back at dawn exhausted but smiling, as if he had just survived another storm. Usher said he used to wonder, what is this man doing? But Diddy never really answered. He just laughed it off. And while the industry painted Diddy as a genius producer, behind closed doors there were always whispers. Artists like Shine, the LOX, and even Masse later spoke out about how Diddy controlled their careers, their money, and even their lives. But back then, Usher was just a kid. He didn't understand the full picture. Yet, there are claims from insiders that Diddy liked to initiate people into his circle with bizarre, over-the-top parties, events that tested loyalty, privacy, and even morals. The deeper you went, the harder it was to back out. Some believe that Usher, being so young, witnessed things that scarred him early on. When he talks about those days, his words come out careful, cautious. He once said in an old BET interview, "I went to Puffy Flavor Camp. I learned how to be a man there." But there were a lot of things going on that a 13-year-old probably shouldn't have seen. That one sentence sent the internet into a frenzy years later. Fans began connecting dots, stories about wild parties, rumors about Diddy's unpredictable behavior, and the uncomfortable question, what exactly did Usher witness back then? It's no secret that over the years, Diddy's reputation has grown darker. Allegations, legal troubles, and industry whispers have followed him like a shadow. But what makes Usher's story stand out is how close he was, how he literally lived inside that world when it was at its wildest. For years, Usher remained loyal. He never publicly turned against Diddy, He even thanked him at award shows for giving him his start. But industry veterans knew there was tension, an unspoken distance. The once tight mentor-student bond had faded, replaced by polite professionalism. Behind the smiles and handshakes, people sensed a fracture, and that fracture became clear when Usher started subtly revealing pieces of his truth, never directly attacking Diddy, but dropping hints in interviews and lyrics. In one interview, when asked about Diddy's infamous parties, Usher smirked and said, "Let's just say, I saw a lot. Things I can't unsee." Those 6 words were enough to reignite all the old rumors. What exactly had he seen? Why was he holding back? And more importantly, why now? Because for the first time in decades, Usher seems ready to tell the full story. And insiders claim that what he's about to reveal could reshape everything people thought they knew about Diddy's empire. People forget. Usher was there before the fame, before the millions, before the world started calling Diddy Brother Love. He was there when the foundations of that empire were being built, brick by brick, party by party. Now, decades later, those memories are resurfacing. And according to sources close to Usher, he's finally tired of staying quiet. He's been hinting at coming clean in new interviews and projects, and fans are bracing themselves for the storm that might follow. Because when someone like Usher, clean image, global fame, decades in the game, starts talking about what really happened in Diddy's world, you know it's serious. And the people who've known Diddy the longest, they're nervous. The truth might not just damage reputations, it might destroy legacies. When Usher finally began opening up in subtle interviews and cryptic social media posts, fans immediately sensed something had shifted. Gone was the polite diplomacy of his earlier years, replaced by a tone that felt raw, heavy, and deliberate. He wasn't lashing out. He was confessing, carefully, calmly, and with precision. It started during a podcast appearance when the host casually asked about his early days under Diddy's mentorship. Usher chuckled, looked down, and said, "Man, that house was wild. I was just a kid in a grown man's world. You don't forget that kind of education." The room went quiet. The host laughed awkwardly, but Usher didn't. His eyes said more than his words ever could. That moment went viral. Within hours, clips were circulating on social media, with fans dissecting every expression, every pause. Some argued he was joking, but others, especially those who'd been following Diddy's long list of controversies, knew exactly what that silence meant. Because here's the truth. Behind the glamour of Bad Boy Records was a culture of excess, a world where loyalty was currency and silence was survival. People who've been around Diddy long enough describe his inner circle as a kingdom built on favors. You're either in, enjoying the benefits of his fame and power, or you're out, cut off and forgotten. And for young artists like Usher, that came with a price. For years, fans thought Diddy and Usher remained on good terms, but small cracks had been forming for a long time. When Diddy launched his Love rebrand and began preaching positivity, Usher didn't comment. When Diddy's scandals began resurfacing, he stayed silent. But insiders say he'd been quietly distancing himself for nearly a decade, avoiding bad boy events, declining collaborations, and never attending Diddy's infamous parties again. Then came the interview that changed everything. During an entertainment segment on Club Shay Shay, host Shannon Sharpe asked Usher about the rumors surrounding Diddy's lifestyle and whether he had ever seen anything unusual. Usher's response was chilling in its simplicity. Some things you just don't talk about. Not because you're scared, but because you're protecting your peace. The internet erupted. Protecting your peace? What exactly was he protecting himself from? People began digging up old footage, interviews, performances, even red carpet exchanges between Diddy and Usher. Fans noticed how Usher's body language always shifted when Diddy's name came up. A polite smile, but guarded eyes. A polite smile, but guarded eyes. And just as the speculation hit its peak, a shocking detail emerged from an old Vlad TV clip featuring music producer Choke No Joke, who claimed that Usher had seen too much during his time living with Diddy. He said Usher wasn't just hanging around. That boy saw things most grown men couldn't handle. If he ever told the full story, half the industry would crumble. That one line set off a digital firestorm. Fans flooded Twitter and TikTok, piecing together old stories about Diddy's wild behavior, the strange, exclusive parties, the endless NDA rumors, the whispers about initiations. And in the middle of it all was Usher, the kid who'd lived inside that storm for years, Diddy has been accused of using power and influence to control narratives. Whenever someone tried to expose him, their stories disappeared, their credibility destroyed. But now, with Usher's subtle confirmation of those early years, people started wondering, is this the beginning of the end for Diddy? Because if Usher, one of the most respected artists in R&B history, is finally speaking out, others might follow. That fear became more real when another industry veteran, Jaguar Wright, jumped in, saying that Usher wasn't the only young star who saw too much under Diddy's mentorship. She hinted that there were dozens of people with similar stories, all afraid to come forward. Meanwhile, Diddy's team went into silence. No statements, no denials, just quiet. And that silence only made people talk more. Even in his Las Vegas residency, Usher's set list started feeling different. During one performance, he paused before singing Confessions, looked out into the crowd and said, "Sometimes the truth doesn't need to be spoken. It speaks through you." The audience screamed, thinking it was just part of the show. But those watching closely knew he was sending a message. Every lyric suddenly felt loaded. Every glance toward the camera seemed intentional. People began connecting that this wasn't about gossip or drama. It was about a man finally processing trauma he had buried for years. And let's not forget, Diddy helped shape Usher's early career. Without him, there might not have been a My Way, a Confessions, or the global superstar we know today. But that also means Diddy had immense psychological control during Usher's formative years. The music industry has long blurred the lines between mentorship and manipulation, and Diddy, according to many, mastered that art. But now the tables have turned. Usher's silence for years gave Diddy protection. His new honesty, however subtle, threatens to unravel a legacy built on image and illusion. Rumors even claim that Usher has been approached by major networks for a tell-all documentary similar to Surviving R. Kelly, focusing on the dark mentorship culture of the 90s R&B industry. If that happens, Diddy's empire might finally face the reckoning it's been dodging for decades. Because this time, it's not a disgruntled artist or a bitter rival talking. It's Usher, a household name, beloved across generations, known for his grace and restraint. His voice carries weight, and if he chooses to reveal more, it won't be seen as revenge. It'll be seen as liberation. Social media is now buzzing with theories, from hidden tapes to silenced witnesses. Every week, new posts appear claiming, this is the real reason Usher distanced himself from Diddy. And while many are speculative, the emotional truth remains clear. Usher's words have cracked something open that can't be sealed again. One fan commented, "Usher doesn't have to expose anyone. Just look at his eyes when Diddy's name comes up." That tells the story. And maybe that's the most haunting part, the story he's not telling. Because when someone like Usher starts speaking in riddles, it usually means the truth is too dangerous to say out loud, for now. But if history has taught us anything, it's that the truth in the music industry always finds its way out, eventually, and when it does, it doesn't whisper. It roars. The quiet storm that had been brewing for weeks finally broke. After Usher's cryptic comments went viral, the entertainment world turned upside down. News outlets, podcasts, gossip blogs, everyone wanted to know what really went on in Diddy's world during those early days when a young Usher was under his wing. But what happened next wasn't just about interviews or speculation. It was a full-blown media war. Within days, insiders began leaking new details. Anonymous industry sources claimed that Diddy was furious at Usher's subtle shade, that he felt betrayed by someone he had mentored and helped rise to fame. Some even said Diddy reached out privately, demanding that Usher clarify his comments to protect his image. But Usher didn't flinch. Instead, he doubled down, not through statements, but through symbolism. During a live performance, he paused mid-song and told the audience, "There's a difference between gratitude and silence. You can appreciate someone for helping you and still acknowledge the pain they caused." The crowd erupted. Those who understood the deeper message went wild on social media, posting clips with captions like, "Usher just called Diddy out without saying his name." This was no longer subtle. It was personal. And in Hollywood, when the truth starts leaking, the walls start closing in. A week later, Rolling Stone published an explosive exposé detailing Diddy's mentorship program from the 90s, and Usher's name was front and center. According to sources, young performers at Diddy's mansion were exposed to adult environments far beyond their age. Lavish parties, endless liquor, and a constant parade of celebrities, all under the watchful eye of a mogul who believed in tough education. One insider quoted in the article said, "Usher wasn't supposed to see what he saw. He was too young. But Diddy ran that house like a school, his school." Fans were horrified. The internet split into two camps: those who defended Diddy as a misunderstood visionary, and those who saw him as the face of the industry's darkest secrets. Meanwhile, Usher stayed quiet. His silence became louder than any statement could be. Then came the bombshell that no one expected: a resurfaced BET Awards backstage video from the early 2000s showing Diddy pulling Usher aside for what looked like an intense conversation. The clip went viral overnight. Fans slowed it down, lip-read the words, and believed Diddy was warning him to watch what you say. True or not, the damage was done. Public opinion started turning sharply against Diddy. Major brands began distancing themselves. Music stations quietly reduced airplay of his tracks, and even some longtime collaborators refused to comment. And in the middle of it all, Usher became a symbol, not of revenge, but of resilience. He didn't speak out of anger. He spoke because the truth had been rotting beneath the surface for too long. Rumors started spreading that Usher had been contacted by federal investigators, working on ongoing cases tied to Diddy's alleged misconduct. Some claimed that he was asked to testify, though nothing was ever confirmed. Still, that mere speculation sent shockwaves through the entertainment world. The industry, once dominated by silence, began shaking. Artists who had once stayed quiet started posting cryptic messages of their own, phrases like "truth always wins" and "time's up." Even Jaguar Wright, known for exposing industry secrets, went live on Instagram saying, "Usher ain't crazy. He's just tired. He's been protecting people for decades. Now he's protecting himself." Suddenly, it wasn't just about Diddy. It was about the system. The way the industry took young talent, molded them, and exposed them to excess, all while pretending it was mentorship. Usher's story became a mirror reflecting how deep the rot went. Meanwhile, Diddy tried to regain control. He released a statement through his team calling the rumors ridiculous and claiming that he had nothing but love for Usher. But the public wasn't buying it. The comment sections were brutal. "Love? That's not love. That's control. You taught him all right. Taught him what to run away from." The backlash only grew worse when an old clip resurfaced of Diddy jokingly saying during an interview, "Yeah, me and Usher used to wake up together. You know, parties, late nights, wild times." Fans were disgusted. They replayed the clip endlessly, asking, "Why would a grown man talk about that like it's a joke?" And just like that, the internet turned into a courtroom, with receipts, video clips, and timelines being pieced together like evidence in a trial. Through it all, Usher remained calm, graceful, and collected. His focus shifted toward advocacy, donating to youth programs that support young artists entering the music industry, making sure they have safe mentorship opportunities and protection against exploitation. In one powerful moment during a charity event, he said, "When you're young and hungry, you'll trust anyone who promises to make your dreams come true. But not everyone who opens a door for you wants to see you walk through it." Those words hit like a thunderbolt. The audience rose to their feet. And online, fans declared, Usher didn't name names, but we all know who he's talking about. The whispers became a chorus, and that chorus became a roar. For the first time, the narrative wasn't being written by power or money. It was being written by truth. Even longtime insiders began stepping forward. A former Bad Boy bodyguard gave an anonymous interview, claiming that Usher saw the machine for what it was, and that his silence was survival. Now, the tension between Diddy and Usher wasn't just gossip. It was a generational reckoning. The 90s era of unchecked power was being held accountable by the very stars it created. And while Diddy's empire began to crumble under public scrutiny, Usher's legacy only grew stronger. His transparency, his growth, and his refusal to be silenced turned him from a superstar into a truth teller. One fan tweeted what many were thinking: Diddy gave Usher his start, but Usher might give Diddy his ending. The irony was chilling. The mentor-student had become his greatest threat, not through aggression or scandal, but through truth. And as more stories continued to surface, one thing became clear. The curtain had been pulled back on one of the most powerful figures in music, and no one was putting it back. The house that Diddy built was finally cracking, And it all started with a whisper from a man who had stayed quiet for far too long, and there it is, the story that's got the entire music world holding its breath. Usher's words didn't just expose one man, they exposed an entire system. The truth about fame, power, and the price some pay just to make it to the top. But Janie, now it's your turn to speak. Do you believe Usher finally broke the silence to protect others? Or was this just years of bottled pain finally exploding in public? Because one thing's for sure, this isn't the end. The music industry is trembling, more artists are coming forward, and what's hidden in the dark always finds its way to the light. If you've been riding with us through every twist of this story, hit that like button right now to show love. Or drop your thoughts in the comments. Who do you think is really telling the truth here, Usher or Diddy? And most importantly, subscribe to the channel, because the next chapter in this Hollywood storm is about to get even wilder. You think this was big? Wait till you hear who's speaking out next. Turn on your notifications, stay locked in, and remember, in the world of fame and fortune, the truth is the only thing money can't buy. This is just the beginning. And we're here for every single revelation.